Hello, Unshaven Danny here. Now, if you pay even loose attention to this whole anti-SJW cultural libertarian community we seem to have going here on YouTube, you will have undoubtedly seen over the past few weeks a whole shitstorm involving the doxing situation with the YouTuber Atheism is Unstoppable.
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 And somehow, people are still talking about it. Now, I wasn't going to get involved, I hate the idea of bandwagoning, but one of my Patreon rewards was that the first 3 people to pledge $10 or more per video get a no restrictions video request. And while it was meant to be a video response request, I'm not going to split hairs. By the way, there's still one of these left to claim, hint hint, give me shekels. Anyway, with the sheer tonnage of shit flying around about this one over the last couple of weeks, I'm sure I'm not the only one who's found it a little bit difficult to get a handle on what's being talked about here. Who is saying what? Who's full of shit? What actual philosophical disagreements are being discussed here? Let's try to answer this whole thing one question at a time, shall we? YouTuber Naked Ape made a video directed at YouTuber The Amazing Atheist, condemning him for having YouTuber Atheism as Unstoppable, aka Atheist Rue, aka Devon Tracy, on his YouTube channel after Devon revealed the real-life names of people who called him a racist online. When I was asked about him on my Ask FM, his response was, "Oh hey, this will be fun. This is where I get to explain to stranger number 1 million that I'm not a racist." Smiley face. So, the allegations of racism are a pretty big deal to him. In fact, in researching this, I discovered that his revealing of real names is, in his opinion, justified, because people had, as he described it, slandered him as a racist.
You're the one calling me names, and me no likey. Me no likey those names. And me gonna react to those names. Me said Jar Jar Binks. Okay, I will react, and you know what my reaction is? Is fuck you, you snot-nosed little bitch. Fuck you, fuck your mother, and fuck your father. Your name is...
Don't know, don't care. Is doxing wrong is ultimately the question, do people have the right to privacy? Because if your answer is yes, then great. Doxing is when you reveal identifying information about someone that they wanted to keep private, thus violating that right. If the answer is no, then I don't know how you plan to defend freedom of speech. In practice, at least. I'm sure you've all heard someone say something along the lines of, freedom of speech doesn't mean freedom from consequences of that speech. And it's generally said by someone who's trying to justify their attempts to shut someone up. Think of the SJWs who will do their best to convince everyone to ostracize you if your views don't match theirs, resulting in a social climate in which wrongthink can lose you your friends, your job, or any opportunities. It doesn't get free speech ruined by law, but the law is just a set of consequences for certain actions. You murder someone, you go to jail. So in practice, there's really not that much difference between a government that will punish you for saying certain things and a society that will punish you for saying certain things. The solution to this could be to make it so we don't allow people to say bad things about one another, but that just kills freedom of speech in a whole new direction. The only workable solution, as far as I can see, is to grant people the right to keep their personal information private if they wish. That way, you can have a separation between your anonymous persona, which you use to express unpopular opinions, and the real-life you, which can still maintain all of that place in society that you want. So, yes, doxing is wrong because it denies the ability of people to have that separation between their controversial opinions and the personal life that they would like to maintain. Devon revealed the real names of people who were trying to keep their real names secret, thus destroying their ability to keep their controversial views from being punished by the collective. He doesn't consider just a name to be doxing, but given the explanation of why privacy is an important principle in the first place, Devon is a doxer by any definition of dox that's actually worth caring about. But, maybe this is justified. Maybe since they slandered him as a racist with no repercussions, Devon revealing their names is just some good old-fashioned vigilante justice. No! They believed that he was racist, so they called him on it. Now, they may have been wrong, or may not have been, but it's kind of irrelevant. Slander is when you spread malicious lies about someone in order to destroy their reputation. I'm not convinced that slander should really be a crime anyway, but even by the current legal standard, it's not slander if you believe what you're saying is the truth. It's just your opinion of someone that you are stating. Now, maybe Devon is unhappy with his reputation after people have stated their opinions of him, but he can harden the fuck up. You have the right to privacy, but you do not have a right to a good reputation. Remember, just before, when I went through the two possible solutions to those social pressures being imposed against free speech, there was the one where you make it so people can't say negative things about one another, or, more reasonably, you make it so they can keep their privacy. I bet you thought that I brought up that first one just to be thorough, and it's not a solution that anyone would actually advocate, but by the sounds of things, Devon does! Fucking incredible! Well, kind of. Freedom of association is an important principle. You should have the right to associate with whomever you want, even if they do some scummy shit. And while refusing to associate with people who do harm to others, in order to disincentivize doing that harm, is a good thing to do, that doesn't mean that not refusing to associate with them is a bad thing to do. The latter isn't causing harm to anyone, it's simply not taking proactive measures to punish doing harm to people. That all being said, the fact that the Amazing Atheists, and for that matter, anyone who's kind of part of this anti-SJW community we seem to have going here, the fact that we'd go after an SJW pulling this kind of sneak attack on someone's free speech that Devon is undergoing here, but not all of us are treating him in the same way, it makes it seem like our goal was never to advocate for cultural libertarianism, but just to attack people in the outgroup, using cultural libertarianism as an excuse. Call Devon on his bullshit. Look at this tweet. If there were any doubt left in your mind that AIU is against a culture of free speech, it should be gone now. He is explicitly threatening to try to stop them from criticizing him. He's clearly not for cultural free speech, but he is against SJWs. Well, one can only conclude that he is against them on other political grounds, and just supports the cultural libertarian movement against them because he sees it as a way of fighting his political opponents. Hey everyone, do you want this community to die the same death that the atheist community did? The idea of the atheist community was meant to be to show that we should base our beliefs on reason and evidence rather than faith. However, there was a pretty large segment of that which was really just against Christianity because they hated anything to do with Western culture. And they used reason and evidence only as an excuse to bash Western Christians. You know, I'm talking about your Steve Shives, your Aaron Ra's, and your Lacey Greens. The atheists in general failed to criticize them for far too long. And it ended up destroying the community from within. That was Atheism Plus. Well, we essentially have that exact same thing happening in our community right now. We basically have people who are just adopting the rhetoric of free speech in order to attack their left-wing political opponents, just how the SJW atheists adopted the rhetoric of reason and evidence to attack their right-wing political opponents. If we are not willing to criticize the opportunistic ideologues in our midst, then I hope we're all ready for a repeat of the Atheism Plus debacle. Because it's coming. Let me put this as simply as possible. Anyone who sticks up for Devon on this issue is a member of Cultural Libertarian Plus. Fuck you, Tracy, you anti-free speech faggot. You are a quivering little pussy scared of mean words on the internet. And anyone who doesn't see your hypocrisy when you criticize SJWs is just a brain-dead sack of congealed double-thinking failure. Get out of my shitty underfit and never come back.